So today we're doing a deep dive into a series that it takes social anxiety and turns it into this masterclass of comedy, but it also ends up being just incredibly wholesome.
You have to be talking about Komi Can't Communicate.
Of course, Komi-san wa Komishu desu. It's massive manga, anime, even live action. But I think we need to look past just the hype.
Right, because on the surface, it really just looks like your standard high school gag series. But the core idea here is really a clever breakdown of that whole cool beauty trope.
Exactly. You see the main character, Shoko Komi, and she's beautiful, she's stoic. Everyone at school thinks she's a goddess.
In any other story, she'd be distant because she thinks she's above everyone else.
But here, that coolness is actually just a complete misunderstanding of, well, a disability.
It's komushu, a severe communication disorder. And the genius of the writing is how it shows you that internal panic. To everyone else, she looks like a queen.
But to us, the readers, she's just a trembling mess who wants to hide.
And that gap, that's what drives the whole story. She has this one simple goal.
To make 100 friends, it's so earnest it almost hurts, you know? And it's the perfect engine for the plot because it forces someone who just wants to be invisible to, well, constantly be the center of attention.
But she can't do it alone. And that's where Hitohito Tadano comes in.
Ah, Tadano. The most aggressively average boy in existence.
I mean, the story really leans into that. But in this specific school, his one skill, being able to read the room, is basically a superpower.
He's the first person who gets it. He looks at her and doesn't see a goddess.
He just sees a girl who's terrified.
And he becomes her interpreter, starting with that amazing scene on the chalkboard. But the thing about the setting is, Tadano's averageness only works because Ijan High School is completely
unhinged. It's completely unhinged.
It is. It's supposed to be a college prep school, but the only admission requirement seems to be eccentricity.
It's a magnet school for oddballs. That's the whole point.
Oddballs is putting it mildly. The names alone are just incredible. The author, Oda, uses this naming convention where the name tells you everything.
Oh, it's nominative determinism on steroids.
Right. Yeah, but Osana Najimi, the name is literally childhood friend.
That's exactly what Najimi is. Everyone's childhood friend, somehow.
Yeah.
Super chaotic, hypersocial, the complete opposite of Komi.
Then you've got the other end of the spectrum with Yamai Ren. Yamai means sick.
And she is. She's a classic yandere. Obsessed with Komi to a, frankly, dangerous level.
Or Nakanaka Omaharu, who's got the eye patch and bandages.
Full-blown Chunubyo. Thinks she has secret dark powers from a past life.
It creates this wild ecosystem. Komi is terrified of standing out, but she's in a school where you were literally selected because you stand out.
And that's where the best humor comes from, the gap humor. You know, the difference between how the school worships her and her own internal screaming.
But it's not just jokes. I think what keeps people invested is the romance. It's such a slow burn.
It has to be, right. They can't just have witty banter. The intimacy comes from Tadano just being her safe space. That builds something way deeper than a normal rom-com crush.
And when it finally pays off going through the whole love triangle with Menbagi and then that White Day confession, it feels so earned.
It does. You even see a version of their dynamic in Komi's own parents. The super silent dad and the forever 17 mom who never stops talking.
Yeah, that's true. But I think the most satisfying part of the whole series is just watching Komi's own growth.
For sure. She goes from the chalkboard to a notebook to texting on her phone.
And then eventually to actually speaking. Just small words at first, but it's huge for her. She gets to experience the cultural festival, go on school trips. She's actually getting to live a life.
And that's the key takeaway, I think. The series takes all this weirdness that usually makes people feel isolated, and at Entan High, it's the one thing that makes you belong.
It totally reframes it. So here's a thought to leave you with. In a world like Entan High, where your admission depends entirely on having one defining quirk, would you get in?
And what would your punny Japanese name be?
Exactly. What would they call you? Think about that. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
See you next time.